So this is going to be a bit of a bonus section. We've had a lot of community questions. A lot of people know Rich, and I actually didn't post his name when I asked for questions, but I'm sure these would be the exact same questions that they would ask him if they knew him. So we're going to run down a few of these for the community. So, there is no order to these, so I'm just going to fire off in different ways. When it comes to your work, what do you actually outsource?
What do I outsource? Not much. Outsource the basically putting names and numbers into my database. That is really it. That's like 99%.
Okay. Was that taking you a lot of time before you started outsourcing that?
It doesn't take me a lot of time. It was just, it takes me enough time where it slows down the sourcing.
Okay.
It probably saves me an hour a night, maybe two. I don't know. Depending, now it's so easy, between like other tech stack tools, like rings, like Chatterworks and like Lucia and things like that. So, you right click, you copy and paste, and it's good to go. So it's not that challenging, but it does slow me down.
On your journey to become a seven-figure, pretty much a solo biller, what were some of your favorite moments along the way?
Learning when to tell clients to take a hike, to be honest with you. Once you can tell a client to just, listen, I don't need your shit. I don't need your money. I don't need your job. It's incredibly freeing and gives you so much more power to basically work on better stuff. It makes you a better recruiter, makes you a better biller. It just makes you better. Like if you don't ever want to be beholden to a client. If one client's, like I always tell people, like I'll never have a client, well, not intentionally, ever have a client anymore that's ever more than 25% of my billing at one given time. Because if you lose that client, you're toast. You're spending all the time sourcing on one, with one person, and they pull the plug, which has happened to me and most recruiters at some point in their career. You're left holding the bag, and then you're like, I've made no other relationships, and I've got nothing right now. So,
what were some of your biggest mistakes on the way to becoming a seven-figure biller?
God, there's a lot of those. Jesus, working with the wrong clients, taking jobs I shouldn't have taken, not qualifying clients properly, letting candidates push me around at the very beginning, which didn't take long to get over. By month 2, I think I'd realized that F you, I'm doing it my way. And, I think like the classic mistake I've made and everyone else generally makes is taking the wrong jobs. You've got to be focused and you've got to, use your time diligently. And, if you want to be $1 million biller, you're going to make more than most of your clients, and you should treat your own time as such. And, right or wrong, I look at it to my clients. I'm like, listen, my time is worth more than yours. It sounds super obnoxious and it's not meant to be, but the theory is, listen, I'm like, you're my client, but I've got other clients. I want to do what's right for you. But if you're not going to respect my time, I can't really respect yours, and I can't really waste my time on it. So
after all these years, how do you figure out a bad client?
It's mainly, listen, it's a lot of just series of small little tests. How fast do they respond to you? How much are they trying to, lower the fee? The lower the fee, the worse the client. It's not because the fee is lower. It's just because they're really cheap and they don't really want to use you, and they're going to do whatever they can to avoid you. I mean, I've got a client company now. I've already passed on their stuff once. They came back 2 months later. I'm waiting for the 3 more deals, and I'm like, your contract is unsignable. All right, it's all these agreements that we get. It's very easy to tell if they're not a good deal. It's very one-sided. Everything is in their favor. To me, and I tell them, I'm like, I want to be a partner. I'm not a vendor. And like, here's a list of recruiters you can go find if you want a vendor. They'll charge you 10% even. They'll save even more money. I'm like, they'll send you a bunch of crap, but that's fantastic. If that's what you want. That's really your deal. So for me, it's all about being a partner. And that's how I kind of pitch it. And those that just want a vendor, the fee is going to be higher if they sign it all. And if they don't, they don't. And we move on.
If like looking at your work, what's the percentage of like retained versus contingent versus contract?
None of it's contract, just because I don't have time as a solo. I try to do like, 70% engage. I don't really do full retainer because I don't want the headache of extra paperwork. I just do engage where it's, depending on the deal, anywhere from 7,500 to 10 grand up front, which I'll take off the back end of the fee. I'll even lower their fee if they want to give me money up front. Just because it just proves that they're generally real clients. They're not just, to your point, another tester. They're serious about hiring. What I'm finding now that was really funny is I'm getting a lot of people to pay me a retainer and then still using multiple recruiters. I'm like, okay, I don't really get it, but your money. There's no, there's no switching to another fee later on or another role. This was the deal. I mean, the contract specifically states for this role, not to be transferred. But it's probably, I try to do more engaged than I do contingent. Like I said, tech this year was tech 2023 was a brutal minefield. So I would say it's probably 40-60 around there. If I had to guess, retained to or engaged to contingent.
So when it comes to business development, are you getting most of your business from cold calls, or is it like LinkedIn messages or emails, or what? Is there a percentage?
I don't know what the breakdown is, but it's a combination of all. I mean, referrals are obviously the biggest, and that's how everyone should try to build their base. But you're always cold calling, you're always emailing. You get referrals from that, and even if it's just people seeing your name, it's worth the effort. It's worth the advertising. So,
percentage of your business over the last year, like how much of it has been MPC over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, 21 and 22, I had so much inbound business. I think I made like 3 outbound calls for BD. I was literally placing a guy a week. It was at an executive level. It's just unheard of. Last year, again, I don't have the exact number, but I would probably guess most of the business referral. So I probably the net new clients I've got. I bet you probably 60% was MPC.
Okay.
But it's again, the MPC versus the regular. I believe in the MPC is a better way to do it, but the math will tell you it's pretty equal. I just think I feel better calling in with value than calling in and saying, hey, this is Rich. I've done this for a million years, and I can't believe you don't know me and haven't done business with me. But I don't think either way is a bad way. It's just anything you can do to start a dialogue is really the key. Candidates make it easy. If they say, oh, this guy's in West Coast, we need a guy in East. I'm like, great. Well, tell me about the role. I've got a guy in East too we can probably talk about or whatever. That's why MPCs make it a little bit easier, I think.
Okay. Do you have a mentor?
Not really. I like I said, I like to follow a lot of folks, but I never really got a mentor per se. Just old school grinder.
How did you become so confident?
I don't know if I'm that confident, to be honest with you. I think I am confident that I know what I'm doing, but I'm not always confident in doing it, if that makes sense. Which probably sounds weird to say on a podcast, but it's but like I said, I just know so many recruiters and so many salespeople that just think they put on this front. Like, remember, I place big billing sales guys, like 300K base salary, 200K base salary guys, many of them making 5, 7, 800, 900 grand or whatever. Some even, placed a guy last year, he did like 1.6 million. And even the best guys, man, they act confident, but if you push the right buttons, you realize they're not. And I don't know. I think that's most people. So I'm like, I don't know. People think every big biller's got to be super confident. Good for them. I'm like, I'm confident in what I can do, but I can probably, most of the people you've had on your show, I probably know a moment or two, at least if I know them, where I could tell you that, they had their weaknesses, and they're not afraid to admit them. I mean, it's the humility, man. I mean, that's what makes you good in this business. I got plenty to learn, and that's what I love about it.
How do you manage all the open recs that you have and consistently deliver?
Again, it's having the niche and the network.
Okay.
It's being focused, and that's where we get back to. If I had to do it again, just do the East Coast or just do a segment, master that domain, master that geo, and you'll crush it. You know.
When it comes to like daily goals, what are some of your daily goals?
Oh, it's a tough day for that one. It's beginning of the year goals are tough. I mean, my goals are, again, they haven't really changed, but I don't stick to them as much. If that makes sense, because like I always have a goal of 50 calls a day, but reality is it's not like it was 20 years ago. If I make 10 calls a day and I get 10 people and they're all 10 send outs or 10 job orders, well, hell, that's a pretty damn good day, right? But I mean, my simple goal and what I tell everyone is it's really just one send out a day. Simple as that. You get 5 send outs a week, 20 a month, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to make $1 million, if you know your numbers and you've got realistic clients. You're not working with, some of these donkey shows. So so yeah, I mean, I keep all my goals pretty simple. It's, the one send a month is really the key. One send a day is really the key one though.
Okay.
That one's what makes you money. And I should go back and do my numbers for send outs and submittals and all that stuff actually.
So I've seen you give some really good advice to recruiters that are struggling. What advice would you give to somebody that's ready to quit?
God, I've had that conversation a lot lately, to be honest with you. I've got so many calls even in the last 2 days of the first 2 days of the year. Um, One, you got to ask yourself if you really want it. If you don't really want it, then you should quit. I mean, candidly, it's harsh, but it's the reality of it. It's like anything else. Um, it's like anything else in life. If you want it, you got to fight for it. I mean, hell, I've been working out with this guy. He's 60 years old. This guy just benched 385. All right, it's 60 years old. All right. I mean, the guy wants it. His goal is to get to 405 before he turns 61. So he's got a couple months. Um, but it's same with recruiting. If you want, this is recruiting again, as we said earlier, this is a life-changing job for those who want it to be life-changing. And if you don't like your space, find the space you like. Don't be afraid to walk away from bad deals. And it's hard when you don't have a lot of money or you're not making money. But all you're doing is wasting your time working on searches that you're not excited about because it comes through the phone, it comes through your messaging, it comes through everything. Uh, that's probably one of the biggest rules, is you working with companies you actually like. Otherwise, it's just like pushing a rock up a hill. Like I don't know about you guys, like when I get bad searches, like where I just don't respect them, but the fee is too good to pass up. I mean, I just did one of these, but I tell the candidates flat out, I'm like, it's not really my cup of tea. I'm like super honest with them. But here's what the pay is. Here's what they do. Take a look at the site. Call me back. I placed 4 people at this company at a 30%, I think, fee for that one. In a year where people weren't paying, I mean, it was almost $200,000 in commission, I think, a little under. But I was honest. I could sleep at night. It's not a company I spent a ton of time on, but I made a lot of money on it. So you got to know how to work your A's and your B's, and in this case, your C's. You know, um, so I don't know if that was the question or not. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
How do you,
I
here's
do.
another one. How do you pull yourself out of a funk?
Usually by firing any client I've got.
Okay.
Because usually I'm in a funk because they're shitty clients and wasting my time. Every time I've been in a funk, I've been in a drought, it's usually because I have bad clients. And I had this story. I don't know if I told you a story a long time ago. I mean, I had a story years ago. I just lost a ton of deals in a row, and just crazy reasons. I came back from vacation, fired all my clients, or basically said it's a $10,000 engagement fee, or we just got to part ways. This is the new model. And most left. Was fine. They weren't making any. I mean, they were just wasting my time anyway. The ones that didn't, we went on and closed like 600 grand the next like 6 months, 5 months, something like that. So that was July. So yeah, probably 5 months. So it was, but that's it. Work with companies you like and respect.
So if you get like a brand new client, how long does it typically take you to close? a position?
It's so dependent. I mean, I did one earlier, it took 9 days for
Okay.
a $48,000 fee. Um, that same client though, I've been working on a search for 4 months, and they just keep kicking people to the curb. So with startups, man, it is the Wild West. You do not know. It's not for the faint of heart. So there's no rhyme or reason. Uh, Big companies, you can maybe hide sometimes and say, this guy's a C, he's good enough. You know,
Do you have work-life balance?
totally, man. It's funny. I love this question because people think all I do is work. I mean, I probably take 3 months a year off, and which is probably more than most. I started golfing last year, so I'm actually going golfing tonight at that Top Golf. And so, like summer, I'll take Fridays off and golf now. Play pickleball at least once, if not twice a week in the morning. Poker every other week. So I'm like, we visit my kids. My daughter's in college. We visit her. We travel a ton. So I think I probably have more of a life balance than most, to be honest with you.
Explain that.
Well, think about it. I mean, if you bill $1 million in a year, I'm doing it in 9 months. All right. I see my friends. I never have a lack of something to do. When I'm working, I'm working. I'm planned, which again goes back to being the key, and keeps your day full and busy. And then if I want to go out tonight instead of planning for tomorrow, I make sure I've pre-done things for the week. And I've got enough built up, so I got my list to go. I've got all the different jobs I'm working on, all the different the marketing calls I'm doing. There, we're in a roll. I'm set, right? I want to go golf tonight. I can do that. I want to go do nothing. I can do nothing. But if I'm home, I'm going to work. So, but I mean, but think about it. I took July off last year. We went to Fiji and Australia, and didn't miss a beat.
Did you have like searches before you left, or did you just tell your clients like, "Peace out, I'm gone"?
I had searches that were going on,
Okay.
and I did I close one? I think I closed one. Why? I check email once in a great while. Like when I was in Fiji, I didn't do anything, and I was just off the grid for 10 days, 12 days, and then the rest was in Australia. Where and aside, even in Uluru, there was Wi-Fi there, so you're not when you're at the hotel. So you check, you do what you got to do. I mean, I don't mind. I know some people are like, oh, I'm not working, I'm not touching everything. I'm like, knock your socks off. I'm like, if someone's going to pay me 50 grand, I'll check my stupid email. I'm like, it's not that hard. So, I mean, honestly, I love what I do. I can't tell you it's not frustrating and you don't get burnt out, if you're not smart about it, but I love what I do. I mean, I don't know another job I could have made as much money as I've made doing this job. And I like it. There's lots of what I like about, which is part of why I have a hard time giving stuff to a VA to do. I mean, like, or I was like, give them the stuff you don't like. I'm like, every part's important. I like every part. I don't know. I'm like, so so it's a challenge, but I don't know. I mean, how much time do you take off? You go to France and do all your stuff.
I mean, I think on average we might spend like a month or two in France a year. But I have a travel laptop. I work over there in between doing things. Like it's like I think somebody on the podcast kind of just mentioned as like one life. Like I travel, but my work just comes with me. But I take time to go do things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go do like heavy sourcing on vacation, but
Mm-hmm.
if I got deals in flight, listen, I got a phone, I got a computer. Why would you not? I mean, it's like it's personal choices. My choice is to want to make money, see the world, and you can totally do it. Like, I mean, I coached, like, you got a little kid now, so I mean, like, I coached my kids' sports growing up, never missed a game. Worked the sidelines on the football field. My son plays football, and again, it's a 2 hours out of your day. If you're not playing, well, you after the game, you come back and you're playing if you want. I mean, it's not.
Do
It's
you
just what you do.
do you think like one of the differences between you and other recruiters is like when you're working, you're actually working? I don't know how to say this.
Yeah, no, but I'm not wasting as much time. And don't get me wrong. Again, major ADD. I play half the time I'm on a phone. I'm on a call. I'm playing a game on my phone when I'm talking to someone. Just to keep my mind focused. As weird as that sounds, but it's a. I think the difference, like what's the big saying? The difference is really the A player and the B player is the A player is willing to do things the B player is not. And I'm willing to do what I need to do to be successful. Again, there's plenty of recruiters that are smoother than me. They're slicker than me. They write better than me, but they're not going to outwork me. They're not going to hit as many people. They're probably not going to build as many true natural connections. And I think that's the big difference. I think most people just kid themselves. They think they're great. Like how many recruiters have you talked to who have made like $100 grand? They think they are the shit and nothing in their world is going wrong. They know the world. This business is theirs for the taking, right? I mean,
Well, first of all, 100 grand doesn't do that much anymore.
No, exactly.
Sorry for the listeners that are listening to this. Like the way things are expensive now, 100 grand is like the new middle class.
Listen, to go to college, a private college, just so you can start planning. Like if you went to like Syracuse or Tulane or whatever, American down in DC, all right, it's like $90,000 a year now. All right, good luck on 100 grand.
I mean, we just had our baby, and there's a whole other story. We have insurance, and it's all being worked through the system. But our initial bill was $233,000.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, I mean, honestly, my dad died. All right, the funeral, the other end of the spectrum, $20,000 for a basic funeral, and my mother already had the funeral plot. So it wasn't paying for the dirt. That would have been like another, I think, like I forget whether it was 3 or 10 grand or whatever for the dirt. All right, I mean, 20 grand to die. That's not counting the hospital bill for the medical malpractice. But I mean, it's just life's stupidly expensive now.
I mean, you had something major happen last year. Like, how'd you pick yourself back up?
Dude, it took a while. It was totally out of the blue, unexpected. Medical malpractice. Went in for gallbladder removal, didn't come out basically. Yeah, went to the gym in the morning, whole shebang. So, no, it really, I just kind of went through the motions for like May and June. I mean, I say I took 3 months off. When I think about it, if you count that, I probably took like 4 months off or 5 months off because that was the end of April. My dad died. May, I was kind of in the fog. June, pretty foggy. July, I was on vacation. August, I came back and started hitting it, but then, I had to take my daughter to college. That was like a week worth of stuff going up back and forth. Then Pinnacle conferences and Thanksgiving, Christmas, half December was off. So, I probably took even more than 3 months off in reality. But it did. Until you go through it, at least for me, it takes some getting used to. It definitely takes it's an adjustment that I've seen now that I've gone through it, and I know other people obviously that have. I didn't realize, quite frankly, but I've got some other friends. I mean, it took them like 2 years to get over it. Everyone's got a different situation, but it's a pretty eye-opening experience. Like you know people that die, but until it's someone that's like ultra close to you, it's just like, all right, sucks, but it's a whole new meaning of the, really did put a whole new meaning to the, just being there for people, so it was interesting, the whole experience, who was there, who wasn't there. So. I'm
trying to ask like a good question after that. That's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's all right.
Well, I got 2 more questions for you, Rich.
Yeah.
And I'll let you go.
Yeah, that's all right.
What's a question that you wish most recruiters would actually ask you?
That's a good question. What's a question I wish recruiters would ask me? I do, honestly. I always like the life balance question because people think I don't have a life, which makes me laugh. I mean, literally, I go to the gym every morning, pick a ball. I mean, I scuba dive when I'm not traveling. There's not much more I can do, quite frankly, and work. That I don't know. That's a really good question. Um, hmm. What would I? Well, I mean, what's a good question to ask? I'm trying to think what I would ask, like Danny Cahill or someone, you know. Um, but I usually just ask, and I don't really think about it. I just, I don't
Well,
know.
that's a good question. What would you ask like a Danny Cahill then?
Yeah, Danny will be in my house. I'm trying to see if we can do this podcast and have you do this podcast because Danny will be here actually. Um, um, but God, I don't know because I don't know. I really don't. I have to. That's a great question to think about
Okay.
because I'm trying to think what I've asked, like that you haven't asked because you've asked a lot of good questions. Um, you know, it's. I mean, I just think it's like you've asked the right questions. It's just like how have you been successful? Why have you been successful? How do you keep being successful? And those are the big questions. Like, what else would I want to ask? That's interesting. I don't know. I have to give that. I'm going to give that some more thought actually, because that is an interesting question.
Okay.
You know,
And
and how it,
I'll get this wrapped up with talking about Pinnacle.
say again.
So I'll get this wrapped up. This bonus round, getting
Yeah.
wrapped up talking about Pinnacle. Why should a recruiter care about the Pinnacle Society?
Why should they care? I think a lot of reasons. Mainly because it's a great goal to strive towards. Especially if you're solo. I mean, if you're an independent recruiter or in an independent agency, you're going to get better, content, training, resources just by being associated with these guys. I mean, you look who's in it. Like Danny Cahill and Jeremy and Jordan and Gail Audubon, Annie, and Catherine, is in it in defense. I mean, there's just so many good recruiters in the space. Petrak, like you mentioned, Joe Rice. I mean, Matt Walsh. These guys are fucking awesome recruiters. I mean, Joe does like a couple $100,000 a month on average, for Christ's sake. Um, it just, yeah, and they've all had their bumps and bruises. They've all had their rough times. So they're all great success stories where they've kind of risen from nothing to something, without an ego. And like, if you ever wanted to be on like an elite sales team or like elite sales, if anyone's ever gone to like a sales kickoff or a sales president's club, usually they're with a bunch of, most of these guys are douchebags. They're going to be super braggy, super arrogant, super, like totally unhelpful. They just, oh, dude, how big is your, whatever, it's, this, you go to Pinnacle, man, it is fun. No one's judging. It's more like a family reunion fraternity party when you go out. And those who want to go out, go out. Those who don't. No one criticizes judges. But man, people look out for everyone. There's a lot of fun, crazy stories. And we have Dallas, Atlanta, then Vegas, and then I think someplace in the Caribbean coming up for our next 4 conferences. Um, so there's some good fun spots that will be like, Buckhead, Atlanta, and Vegas, and the Caribbean should be interesting. So we did one in Aruba that was awesome. Everyone said the Ritz in Aruba, and it was cool. But we bring in speakers, and um, you have access to all this great talent without even bringing outside people in. And man, it's just awesome. You're just having conversations like this all day about everything from, their kids to their billing to, hey, I'm stuck on this. I'm stuck writing an email. I'm stuck on how to work this deal. There's 80 people to go after and that can help and have a unique perspective on it, not just a canned approach.
Would you be as high of a biller as you have without Pinnacle?
I think about that. I want to say yes, but I don't know. You know, I honestly don't know. I think Pinnacle pushes you without trying to push. You ever work for a great manager who you feel bad if you let down?
I have actually.
And you probably had your best years ever, I'm going to guess, maybe before you went on your own. But, in terms of pure billing, most people, when you work for someone you truly respect and you don't want to let them down or embarrass yourself because you're part of that circle, you kick ass and you work harder. And I believe Pinnacle made me a better recruiter, definitely a better biller. Um, for sure. I just think that the value it provides for a solo recruiter, especially, is massive. So it's just, and that's it used to just be all solo recruiters or independent firms. Now there's definitely some SRA guys in there, MRI folks obviously in there, and some other stuff. But it's really the best of the best. I mean, look who you've interviewed from, from that group, man. I mean, they're good dudes, and they're good dudes and good billers. So good guys and girls. I shouldn't say dudes. Gail Odd watched the president, so she's awesome. She crushed it. She literally had a transformational year, and she had one of her best billing years ever. In a tough market, with having a whole bunch of other life situations going on around her. So she's
Awesome.
another Mark Whitby coach disciple as well. So going back to your coaching question. So, but anyhow, yeah, man, I think Pinnacle is it should be on your radar too, man. You should be getting in there.
Cool.
So,
well, Rich, I just want to say thank you.
Anytime, man.
And like I said, I'm classifying this as the bonus section.
Well, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to be back on. It was always good. As always, good to talk to you. So.
And as always, Rich, if you ever need anything, or you're looking at actually jumping on that podcast, whatever support you need.
Thank you. I'm going to need that push. I was talking to one of my clients today. One of my actually it was a candidate for a VP. I'm like, dude, I even told him I should just record this stupid call. I'm like,
and don't laugh. That's like one of the biggest things. Like I tell everybody about doing industry podcasts. I'm like, you're already having these conversations.
I know.
And you're highlighting them. There's all these AI tools you can utilize, and I can give you that list. Like you have the conversations you normally have with these people, and now you're spotlighting them. The spotlight's back on you. And it's another great tool.
It is. It's fantastic. And that's why, you've done such a good job with this podcast. You start doing the industry one, and now, those people in the industry, you're now connected to that person who knows this person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the whole joy of LinkedIn posting, right? I mean, just get your name out there, see who you know. Yeah, I know. I got to do it. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so hesitant to do it, to be honest with you. I just
the hardest thing is just scheduling that first one, and you're already having those conversations. So just get something on the schedule in the next 30 days.
I know. And then, that's because the rest of the editing part's relatively easy, I think, right? I mean, right? Right.
I mean, it is like there's tools, and what has Mark Whitby been telling you? Hire a VA.
Yeah. I know. If I get a VA, that's pretty much what it'll be for. But God, I like to know how to do everything myself. It's just easier. I know it's going to get done right. If it's not right, I'm to blame. It's just so much easier. It's hard, it's hard to change after so many years. That part is true, but it's I think for the overall, it's the betterment. And honestly, with these email changes, it's probably almost a necessity, I think, to do. So,
and going to ask this question one more time, just because I know we asked it on the main podcast episode. What is your tech stack?
Tech stack. All right. Tech stack. We got, Crelate, Ring Central, Outplay. What we forgot was Lucia for enrichment. Chatterworks is usually my go-to. OneTab if I'm building lists. I'm looking at my thing. Obviously, we all love our ChatGPT. Can't live without that. And I'm looking at what else I use. That's really it on my on any regular basis. Foxit for PDF and e-signature stuff. Way cheaper than Adobe and does the same thing. So who cares? Yeah, man. Oh, and yeah, track it and track it in Metaverse. There's MetaView, or for interview schedule for interview recordings, which I think are awesome. Companies fight me on it sometimes, but interview recording is. I mean, I've saved deals because of them. It's like the guy misunderstood the client misunderstood the answer, and I'm like, you can't penalize my guy because your guy's a moron, basically. I mean, it was really in one case that was that blunt, but and that guy was getting fired, so it was okay. but anyway, it's but yeah, that's the main tech stack that's used on a regular basis. So,
awesome, Rich. Just want to say thank you for the bonus section for the listeners. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's always fun just like going through and just laying out quick fire question after quick fire question for Rich. So definitely answering the things that you've been thinking about. So for the listeners, guys, can't wait for the next episode.
Awesome, man. Thanks, man.